And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. All right. So, if you looked at the title and you know what we are talking about, you know what we are going to discuss. And I think it's most definitely something we want to talk about. Right? Right? Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree, Shannon? Something we want to talk about? Okay, so if you haven't already, everyone, please hit that thumbs up for me. Please hit the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, cool. All right, let me make sure. Are we live? All right, cool beans, cool beans.
Cool beans.
So, why is it such a problem for President Trump to say, and you know what, Shannon, I should have went out there and looked to see if there was actually a video of President Trump saying that he would like to have more babies. I distinctively remember him saying something about it, mentioning it.
It's
That
been, yeah.
I mean, there's no secret, right? That he's mentioned it before, but I guess I should have gone out and see if I could find a video on him actually, calling for Americans to have more babies. And the thing is, President Trump is not saying he wants more white people to have babies. He didn't say that. He never said those words. President Trump didn't say that he wants more black people to have babies. He wants more Asian people. President Trump didn't say that about any of them. He didn't say that about anybody. What President Trump has said is that he wants more Americans.
He was asked about it yesterday when he was doing executive order
Really?
signing.
Really?
And he said,
You saw the video?
I did. It was a real brief video. All they said is, are you looking at doing a 5,000 incentive for the birth rate, to raise the birth rate? And he said, I'm looking into it. He said, why not? He's like, oh, sounds good to me. That's pretty much all he said.
That's all he said about it.
That's all he said in that setting. I haven't seen another video, no.
That's all he said about it. But because he said,
well, I'm sure there's an article or something on it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But everybody knows now that this is something he is looking at doing. And of course, anytime Trump says he's going to do something, what happens?
He does it.
They push back on it.
Well, he does it and they push back.
Something. Let's push back. Let's push back. Let's talk about how evil this is going to be for America. That's what the liberals do.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's a problem for Americans or President Trump to even say, let's have more children. Let's encourage more people in America to have children. But of course, the Democrats being the way they are, they're taking this and saying that President Trump is being racist. He's wanting more white babies. Because apparently the Democrats, they're excited about the fact that white people may become the minority at some point in the United States of America. They don't want white people to be the majority. It's like they're pushing for the minority to become the majority in this country. Me personally, I don't care. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who's the majority, as long as it's not the Democrats. Because the Democrats, the Democrats, they're the only reason why we've had any kind of racial division in this country is because of the Democrats. And everyone knows this. Everybody knows this. But now, according to the Democrats, if you listen to President Trump and you're trying to have a baby, and this is the reason why they're doing this. The reason why they're saying this about President Trump is because they don't want you to have children. They don't want you to have children. And when you remember, I think it was June 21st of 2023. Don't hold me to the exact date. But if I'm not mistaken, that was the date that the Supreme Court sent Roe versus Wade back to the states. And remember, the Democrats, they showed up at Brett Kavanaugh's home, the Supreme Court justices' homes. Remember, at that point, they wanted to do bodily harm to the Supreme Court. Not like they're saying with the Supreme Court now. Oh, the Supreme Court said bring the terrorists back to America. Oh, now President Trump is defying Supreme Court ruling. And actually, he's not, but it's a completely different discussion. He's not defying the Supreme Court ruling. He's not at all. But they were. When the Supreme Court pushed it back to the states, they wanted to bring bodily harm to the Supreme Court justice. They were protesting in front of their homes. Why? Because they want to be able to end the life of the most innocent of us all. That's what it comes down to. If it's the innocent, the most innocent of us all, they're trying to figure out how to end that. 100%. 100%. Everybody knows this. That's the reason why they were so piping mad. And now here's President Trump trying to encourage Americans to have babies. And there's only one way you can have babies. It takes a man and it takes a woman. It takes a man and it takes a woman. And of course, the Democrats are against that as well. This is just terrible. You know what, Shannon? See if you can find it. In the Bible, it tells us that God asked man to be fruitful, multiply. And I don't remember exactly where the scripture is in the Bible, but I'm like that with a lot of scriptures. I know I've read it and I know what it says, but this is doing Adam and Eve.
This is in Genesis.
Yeah,
it's
Adam and Eve,
just like you said.
Yep.
It is chapter 1, verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it."
You hear that?
And also God said it to Noah and his sons, after the flood and such.
Yes.
In Genesis 9:1, it says, "And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth."
Now, something just came up read the first scripture in Genesis, because he was talking to Adam and Eve, right?
Yeah.
Read that one again.
It says, "And God blessed them,
Uh-huh.
and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth."
So what translation is that you're reading?
King
Only reason why I'm
James.
asking, because I'm wondering, because it says replenish. What does that mean? You understand what I'm getting at?
It could be a word in translation. Yeah. So.
Right. You see what I'm getting at, right? So what does that word mean?
Right.
What does that word mean? Replenish. What does that word mean?
Yeah, because he said it again in Genesis after.
Right, but when he was talking to Adam and Eve,
yeah.
Well, what does that word mean?
Yeah.
What does the word mean? Replenish.
To bring back to yeah. So what are you trying to say, Will?
I'm not trying to say anything. I'm asking, what does it mean? Right? I'm glad you read that, because now I got my wheels to turning. Right? And the Bible's correct. Makes you think, right? Makes you think, makes you wonder. Yesterday,
I will tell you this. It says in Hebrew, the original word in this verse is male, which means to fill or make full.
Okay.
So I was gonna say I knew it was probably a translation.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I brought that up. That's why I brought that up. What's the translation there? Because
it means
sometimes you go out there, because they've actually changed a lot of the verbiage in various Bibles, and a lot of people start getting a little confusing to people. Right? Okay. They're actually saying that for us to have babies in this country, they're making the connection that it is, a white supremacist thing. Listen to this one. This was on the Communist News Network, and I saw this last night. No, not last night. I saw this on the night of the Tuesday. I saw this Tuesday night. And no one was really talking about this story. No one was talking about it. I posted this on X, and no one was talking about it. And of course, on X, there's still some censorship going on X, just like on Facebook and, other places. There's still some censorship going on. But I posted this on X. I don't know if you can see it, Shannon, right there between where it says, tell me something I don't know, and where it says live right there in the lower third. You see, that's my X handle. I'm Mr. Will Johnson on X. See, I put this video on X, and I put it on X for a reason, because they're trying to make this connection that President Trump is following in the footsteps of Hitler, of white supremacy. And that's not the case. If anything, President Trump is following in the footsteps of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's what we all should be doing. That's what we all should be doing, following in the footsteps of our Lord Jesus Christ. And that's what President Trump is doing. And of course, the Democrats don't like it, but they'll never bring up the fact that God said, be fruitful and multiply. These Democrats, they want to prevent everyone from having children. This is the reason why they're so big on Roe versus Wade. If they can prevent people from having children, they got many ways that they've done this. Many ways that they have done this. Some of them are just extremely perverted the way they've done it. But I want y'all to listen to this, because here they're equating President Trump to Stalin, to Hitler, and even Putin, Russia. Listen.
Yeah, I'll tell you something you don't know. In terms of countries that have actually given out medals for motherhood, it's not exactly the 1927 Yankees. All right, what are we talking about? You mentioned Nazi Germany under Hitler. How about the Soviet Union under Stalin? How about Russia with, of course, Vladimir Putin? You look at the list of countries that have given out medals to mothers for awards for essentially, having kids. These are not the countries you generally want to follow. So when Trump says that, he wouldn't exactly be joining a very good company, we'll put it mildly.
Very good company, right. And the Nazi Germany was looking into it today, right? They would, if you had this many kids, you got a bronze and a gold.
Silver, a gold. Yeah. No bueno.
All right. Thank you very much, Harry.
Thank you.
And thanks
to
4 babies.
Okay. You see that? Did I share that one with you, Shannon? I don't think I did. So now it's starting to pick up more steam. Now they're starting to come out even more talking about, and you know what? This is part of the reason why they lost this last election, because they kept trying to associate President Trump with white supremacy, and the people going like, I mean, come on, give it a break.
You know what?
Give it a rest already. No one is buying it. No one is believing the nonsense. Give it a rest already.
I mean, there's a certain reason why countries, and you could say, oh, these people did it. I'm sure there's other countries that have done stuff like this before, but there's a reason why we need our country to be increase in births. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. I looked it up. I'm like, why is this important? Take away the Hitler and all that nonsense, right? Those are just, they put those names up to trigger people. But we have a real issue here in America. It says since 2007, the birth rate has steadily decreased, reaching historic lows. And this trend causes several problems. Number one, it has economic implications. A shrinking working age population can lead to labor shortages. It can reduce economic productivity and increased pressure on public finances. Also, social support systems. Fewer workers contribute to programs like Social Security and Medicare, potentially compromising their sustainability. We already know we're having a problem with Social Security and Medicare, and one reason is because of our declining population. And lastly, a declined population may affect the country's global economic and geopolitical standing. These are all reasons why we need to. It's not because, oh, Hitler did it. That's not why. It's because we are facing real issues here in America. These Democrats have got to do. This is why the liberal media is declining, because they're not talking about the real issues. There's a real reason why we need to do this.
Yeah. And you know what? There are some other groups that have encouraged their people to multiply tenfold. I mean, and I'm not going to go into complete details because, we're on certain platforms, but I think most people know what I'm talking about. I mean, and they're multiplying bigly on the planet. But for some reason, here in the United States of America, the Democrats are calling for people in America not to have children. They don't want them to have children. Why not? I think and the liberalism is not just here in the United States of America. The liberalism has expanded around the world, and they're really trying to figure out how to stop people from having children. You ever read this book called Behold a Pale White Horse? Ugh, y'all should read it. You should go read it, because this was what is his name? William T. Cooper. William T. Cooper. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Navy. And he wrote this book more than 20 years ago, and he talked about different things that they were going to try to implement to get people not to have children. And that's exactly what they're doing today. Exactly what they're doing today. Well, listen to this one, because again, they're still pushing the whole white supremacy issue, and it's so tiring, and they're still doing it. They haven't figured it out.
It's about making sure that there is white supremacy in this country. And if we're honest, we will say that. It is about making sure we will make sure that people who DEI is really all these code words. You used to use woke. I asked you to define what woke meant. You couldn't really define it for me. Tell me what it means again.
Woke ideology is taking extreme views of American culture and trying to tear down America from the inside out and go outside of our cultural norms and invade every corporation, university, and other institutions.
What is DEI?
That's incorrect.
Tell me that's incorrect. But what is DEI? Tell me again.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, and trying to guarantee outcomes instead of guarantee opportunity.
Trump's cabinet looks like DEI.
I was speaking. If I could just...
Hold on, let me stop it really quick. You know what? I like Scott Jennings' definition of woke, but maybe I need to send him the definition that I have. And this is what woke means. Woke, the acceptance of everything that is considered evil. Think about that. They target children with their pleasure for their evil pleasures by having dragon shows, and they call for the family, and they call it family friendly. It's pretty disgusting. So I'm gonna try to see if I can send this to Scott Jennings, so he can explain it a little bit more in more detail than just saying that it's DEI. It is everything, the acceptance of everything that is considered evil. Woke. That's what it's about. 100%.
I do want us to not get off the rails, because
she just said we're all white supremacists. We gotta address this, don't we?
Saying a whole swath of voters and saying they voted because they're racist or misogynist, not
I
because
didn't say
their
those weren't my words, yours. But go ahead.
Okay, but
you said it was about white supremacy.
I said it was
Democrats
about
will
white
keep
supremacy.
losing if they do that.
All the voters were white supremacists, but it's not about eggs. She said it was about pocketbook issues. It's not about pocketbook issues.
You don't think people were at all motivated by the state of the economy?
Of course they were. Absolutely. But yes, and you're smart enough to know yes, and yes, they were upset about pocketbook issues. And they're also upset about what people are.
They do have an opportunity, but we're treated to sort of similar comments to what Carrie made tonight about race, white supremacy, all of Trump's ideology and people and voters and everything. It's all about white supremacy. This was rejected in the election. Democrats ran this was the animating thing of the Harris campaign, and it was rejected.
Okay.
Was it?
And I am constantly shocked at what you're not aware of, which is Donald Trump's performance.
I'm constantly shocked at what you're not aware of.
I don't know. I tend to be more right about it than you are. But the reality is he did better. He did better among minority voters than any Republican in a half a century.
Yeah,
you seem to be totally unaware of it.
But it's also true.
But if you're going to come out and call half the country a white supremacist, I think you've got to explain it.
I didn't say the country. I said this was about white supremacy, because what he ran on was making America great again, which is another code word. You like to say woke.
But you're saying the election was about white supremacy.
I'm saying what Trump was about was making sure he stays that.
It's not even.
So make America great again is code for what? MAGA is code for what? Making America great again is code for what? Make America great again. What is it code for? Maybe making America great again?
Yeah, for everybody.
I mean, what's the code in there? See, Democrats make up stuff. They make up stuff all that they can.
So I want to just explain to people that don't know, people that listen to shows like this and they don't really know what Trump is proposing. So Donald Trump's proposal is he's considering a 5,000 baby bonus for new mothers alongside other pro-natalist policies like allocating 30% of Fulbright scholarships to parents and introducing government-funded menstrual education programs. These measures aim to stimulate a baby boom and raise the declining birth rate. Now, people may not remember, but Kamala Harris had a proposal too. She also knew that we were declining in population. Simply bringing everybody to America is not going to help. That is not the solution. We have to be populating our own country. So she had a proposal, and maybe you remember this. Vice President Harris had proposed a $6,000 tax credit for families during the first year of a child's life, targeting middle and lower income households. So who is she targeting, Will? Was she targeting just white people? No, she wasn't. And neither is Trump. Additionally,
well, let me stop. Hold on before you go on.
Okay.
See, it's okay for them to want to push an agenda, for them to push something. But when President Trump says it, then they interject racism when there is no racism.
Yes, you're right.
I just want to make sure we get that point in there.
And then the last thing, she wanted to restore the extended child tax credit, which previously provided up to $3,600 per child under the age of 6. So she had incentive too. I mean, because why? It's not about who is going to populate America. It's about we need more babies here in America to be a sustaining country. Simply what it is.
Yeah. But you think I'm off the mark here when I say that Democrats don't want more babies here? I know they don't want more black babies here. I mean, look what they've done in the black community when it comes to black babies. I saw these billboards, and these were years ago when I saw these billboards. They had these billboards and they had, some of them had 3 black women on there. Some of them had a single black woman on them. But the theme for all of these billboards that they were displaying around the country was that you don't want to ruin your career by having that child. And they also, on some of them, they also had abortion is good health care. And I'm looking at this, and they have black women on there. They targeted black women. Even Margaret Sanger. Remember Margaret Sanger? Targeted the black community. And this has been the movement of the Democrat Party ever since the Democrat Party was ever created. Because you remember, the Democrat Party, the only time, Shannon, that the Democrat Party wanted more black babies born, do you know when that was? Do you know when it was? Just yes or no?
No.
They wanted more
Slavery?
Black babies born when they were manufacturing them to work on the plantation. See, then they were all about, produce them. There's been horror stories about that they would have, and they would just impregnate these women and have them pushing out babies so they could have more, like cattle. That's the only time the Democrats actually wanted more black babies. That's the only time. The only time. And then after Abraham Lincoln being a Republican president in the Civil War, and as a result of one of the things of the Civil War result was that black people were set free. Black people were set free. And then the reversal of the Democrats wanting more black babies came to a screeching halt because they had their freedoms now. And if black people have their freedoms, we have to work on preventing them from having anything. Because Democrats, just like then, even today, the Democrats want not just black people, they want people from all walks of life to depend on the federal government, to depend on them. This is the reason why the Democrats every 2 to 4 years go into the black community, and you see Hillary Rodham Clinton. Not so much. I don't think I've ever seen Nancy Pelosi do it, but you've seen even Kamala Harris here recently. Bill Clinton, Al Gore, they would go into the black community. They would change the way they're talking to the black people. All of a sudden they get this, this Southern twang about them. It's really interesting because they go in there and they manipulate the black community for many, many years. Many years. And now they're encouraging, you don't want to have children because it'll ruin your career. You want to have your career. Maybe, why come women can't have children and a career? I've known many women to have children and have a career. Many. They can do it if they so choose to. But the Democrats, they've convinced a lot of people, a lot of women, not to have children. Now, listen to this. This is a prime example of what I'm talking about. This is one of the most despicable things you will ever hear coming out of the Democrat Party. And they're acting like they're justified in this evilness. And they're calling President Trump, it's like his white supremacy because he's encouraging people, not white people, to have babies. This is the type of stuff you can't make up.
Ago, when white people are the dominant group. How do you pin them down, though, on that? How do we pin the fact that restricting abortion access was Jane Crow Part 1, and that then incentives to procreate that are very specifically tailored to specific groups are Part 2. How do you make the subtext textual? I'm curious what if Black and Latina and Asian women said, sign me up? Like all these programs that you're offering, let's see if they will still offer them. I mean, we saw this. I mean, I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, but we saw with certain gun control, right? When the Black Panther Party said, oh, well, you want to have guns? We want to have guns.
No. You see the point she brought up there? There's 2 points there. She says Black and Latinos, if they want to sign up for the program, let's see how they react to it then. President Trump didn't exclude it to only white people. Why would it matter? Why would it matter? And so all of a sudden she's saying that if blacks and Latinos get involved, then all of a sudden President Trump won't even look at the program. Did you catch that, Shannon? Won't even look at it. How disgusting is that? And then the second one she made. Is it Republicans or is it Democrats that have been fighting for gun control? Who's been fighting for that? See, this is what the Democrats constantly do. They constantly want people to believe that the gun control is just specifically for white people to be able to have guns, because she's brought up the Black Panthers because the Black Panthers had guns. And then all of a sudden she's saying that white people didn't want the Black Panther to have guns, so we need to create more gun control laws. But it was Democrats. It's always been Democrats. Republicans have always been for you exercising and having your Second Amendment rights. Ever since it was created. It's only been Democrats that want to take it away from the American people. So where is she coming from? See, this is what I don't get. They always try to paint this picture like it's not Democrats that's wanting to do it, but Republicans. Listen, for those of you that missed it, listen.
Like all these programs that you're offering, let's see if they will still offer them. I mean, we saw this. I mean, I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, but we saw with certain gun control, right? When the Black Panther Party said, oh, well, you want to have guns? We want to have guns. All of a sudden we have gun laws, right? And we saw backpedaling. What if...
I mean, that's so loaded. Then all of a sudden we saw backpedaling. It wasn't backpedaling. It was the Democrats. Y'all let me know. So I have a screen right here and I'm looking in the chats. Who's pushing for gun control? It's always been Democrats. It's always been them. Because the NRA, they work hand in hand with the Republican Party. They've always worked hand in hand with the Republican Party. This is part of the reason why the Democrats hate the NRA, because they work hand in hand with the Republican Party. They don't want you to be able to defend yourself. They want you to be vulnerable. They want you to be in a position to where when they bring down tyranny on you, you cannot fight them. That's what the Democrats are all about.
Women of color said all of these policies that you're making so easy for other women, what if we were all of a sudden interested in it? I'd be really curious, because we know the overarching fear is that white people will not be the dominant group by 2040. Now, we also know that you don't have to be white to subscribe to white supremacy. We've seen that quite a bit.
Look, read my shirt. What does my shirt say? What does my shirt say? Right? So now I guess I'm subscribing to it. This is, the level of ignorance is mind-blowing with these people. It really is. It makes me think about when I was living in California. I was going to hold an event in San Francisco with a couple of other people. And Nancy Pelosi said, you white supremacists are not going to come to my city. And I'm like, really? See, this is the reason why them saying white supremacy and all of these other things, Nazi and fascist, it doesn't even hold any water any longer. None of it holds any water. Because they've thrown it out there so much, it don't even have a meaning any longer. Because we know that they're only saying this rhetoric to try to cause people to get in their emotions. But they're the ones in their emotions about all of this. You can't make it. This is like beyond ridiculous.
Really curious, because we know the overarching fear is that white people will not be the dominant group by 2040. Now, we also know that you don't have to be white to subscribe to white supremacy. We've seen that quite a bit.
Okay, hold on. I got to stop it one more time. I'm sorry. How does she know that the white people in 2040, you know how long from that, how short of a time that is from now? Right? Because this is what we're talking about, maybe 16 years now. So in 16 years, she's suggesting that the white people population is going to go down. What's going to cause it to go down? What's going to cause it to go away? What is it? What is it?
But this particular administration has always come in with a very laser sharp focus on what it means for women in this country, where women should be in this country. It is not in the halls of Congress. It is at home, in the family, with children. And they're being as explicit as they possibly can be with these new policies.
I'm also curious if Democrats can sort of step into the frame and say, all right, like everything that you laid out, we want to talk about birth rates, then let's talk about having more immigration in this country, not less. Let's talk about having a paid family leave. Let's talk about having a system of child care that actually develops a community of care rather than acting as though all of this is supposed to be DIY.
Oh my goodness. So she's talking about the community of care, right? They want the government, they want these sick individuals to have access to your children. And then she's talking about access to reproductive rights when they want to eliminate. And then on top of that, she's talking about immigration, which for the Democrats is illegal immigration into the country. You just talked about that a second ago, Shannon, how these Democrats want to have illegal immigration to populate the United States of America instead of just having American citizens. Hey, let's make babies.
Listen, it wasn't or isn't the conservatives that have assigned having babies to women or set this up of what their life is supposed to look like. God did. Now, I know God, they don't believe, maybe they're not religious people, but God is the one that set this up for us, right? I mean, he told Adam, he said, call your wife Eve because she will be the mother of all living. We are mothers. That's what we were created to be, whether you like it or not. Now, can you do other things alongside it? Sure. But one of our main things that we are called to do is give birth and multiply the earth.
Yeah. But they want to take that away. They want to eliminate that.
I bet they don't want illegals to stop having babies.
No.
Because then they can't import them into America.
Well, actually,
their arguments are so
Actually,
unintelligent.
they were really happy about the illegals crossing over the border, and then they would fly into states like California.
Right, so they don't
to
want them to
abort
stop
them.
having babies.
But they were aborting them.
Well,
they were aborting, but there's two aspects. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let me add the second aspect to what you're talking about, because you're not wrong. Just to be clear here, you're not wrong. The one aspect is that they were so happy, so proud that they were flying them to California to end the child's life. They were happy to do that, but at the same time, they're wanting them to have the babies once they cross over across the border, because then they're screaming birthrights.
Well, just to be clear,
birthrights.
Just to be clear, they were trying to end those things because they happened on their way here, because of the things that were happening to them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. They got these trees.
Yeah.
That they would hang.
I mean, we could only say words here.
They would take these young women, little girls, women, older women too, whatever, and they would take them to a tree, and they would show the tree that had a whole bunch of women underwears hanging from it.
Yeah. So
and what the stories and the things that they would do is just horrifying, which I can't even, I don't even want to go into detail about it. I can't even imagine. These are happening to other people on the planet. It's happening to other people on the planet. And the Democrats don't have an issue with it. You notice they didn't say anything about it, but now they're fighting for this guy. They're fighting for this guy that's been deported to El Salvador, and they're fighting for him, and he's not even an American citizen. Here's another one, and this one is kind of disturbing to me. This dude here. And I guess because he's no longer in, Biden's administration, I guess he's growing his facial hair out. And I'm not sure what the deal is, but this person, to me, he has every right to live however he wants to. But in my personal beliefs, this is a sick individual. And he's sitting on this panel of people, and they're not even like drilling him on it. I mean, it's like Rome all over again. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah all over again. And people are getting, every single day, they're getting more and more people to accept the evilness that we're seeing happen in the world.
I want everyday life to be better.
That's what they want too.
You get up in the morning. Yeah, but importantly, like all the controversies are over what that's like. Like I want you to be able to get up in the morning, and the first thing you do is you commute to work. And by the way, if you're on an EV, I want that to be affordable for you. Or if you're on public transit, not to get back into the subway situation, but I want you to have good public transit to get to where you're going. And then when you get to that job, I want you to be paid well. And if you're about to have a kid, I want you to know that you're going to have parental leave when you have that kid. And if you don't want to have a kid, I want you to have the right to choose whether to have a kid, which means access to birth control and abortion and those things that give you the freedom to decide on that. And if you already have a kid, when you pick them up at school, I want that school to be good, not having its funding slashed while they set fire to the Department of Education. And then when you get home, I want you to be in a neighborhood that is safe and where you can breathe the air, because we didn't let them get rid of the Clean Air Act. And you don't have to think for one moment about whether the air you breathe or the water you drink is clean and clear, which actually takes a lot, because it means the government has to constrain those actors that would make you unfree by polluting the air and polluting the water. And then when you go to bed, I want you to know that your family's going to be fine, even if it's family like mine, despite there being some Supreme Court justice who wants to obliterate your family because it doesn't match his interpretation of his religion. Like, that's the life I want everybody to be able to live.
Yeah, I think we can deliver that.
Now, I don't even know the name of this show, but it's obviously is really popular. I don't watch it, but the fact that he's on there,
Well, Trump was on there too.
Yeah, I know Trump was on there too, right? And that's the only reason why I knew about it. I found out about it because Trump was on there. And my point is that there's so many people that are embracing the wickedness and the evilness. And it's just like, I mean, you listen to Pete Buttigieg, he's like sounding like, you know, he just wants everyone to be happy. We just want everything to be, you know, good and nice and plentiful for everybody. While we do this wicked stuff and this evil demonic stuff, we want to have the perception that this is wonderful, this is loving, this is compassionate, and it's completely against God.
You know what?
100% against God.
You know what? Well, I was thinking the same thing when I was listening to him. I'm like, oh, you're really deceptive in the things that you're saying. Number one, it sounds like he's trying to run for president in 2028. That's what it sounds like.
You think so?
Yeah.
He's not going to make it.
He won't make it. But here's the thing. When you say you want your neighborhoods to be safe, well, one thing that made our neighborhoods unsafe was Democrat policies. One, you left the border wide open. You've allowed us to... you have this, I mean, every day now we're seeing Tren de Agua gang members doing bad things to people that are Americans in our neighborhoods. So do you really want our neighborhoods to be safe? I don't think so. I don't think that's true. I also don't feel like you're saying, oh, funding's being ripped from schools. Well, you know why it's being ripped from schools, Mr. Buttigieg? Because you guys have used it for wokeism. You guys stopped teaching English, math, science, all these things. Instead, you've instilled this wokeism agenda. And because of it, our children have been, and it's been proven and documented, become dumber, not smarter. So I don't like the way the world looks like that you're promoting. And you're not promoting it quite honestly how it's really being done today. No, and not. And you know what? That falls even on the news today. The news, they don't even actually tell the truth any longer. There's a whole bunch of reports about He's not telling the honest truth either. Yeah, and that's my point. Yeah. That's my point. The mainstream media, especially, the mainstream media is upset because of podcasters. They're upset because of platforms like X and Rumble and Peel.net and True Social, because people are no longer going to the government state media to get their news. It's just not happening anymore. I mean, how many people sit down and actually watch a national news network like the Communist News Network or MSDNC? People are not doing it. People are not even watching Fox News the way they used to. They're not. Because they know people are going to other platforms to watch it because they can watch it on their own time. And then for the most part, it's like the news today, you can get the news in highlights. You know, just like a football game or a basketball game. If you don't want to watch the entire game, baseball game, whatever it is, golfing. I mean, I can't even watch golfing. It's too slow for me. But the highlights are awesome. Because it only shows the actions when something actually, you know, happens and they're in a brush or they hit a hole in one or they hit on the green. You know, it's the action parts. It's the same thing with the news today. People don't want to sit there and listen to a lot of it. They want the action parts. And that's the reason why they're going to these different platforms. Like, listen to this one. They're complaining.
The problem is that the right wing, hello, Scott, has taken advantage of this situation, I think, quite cleverly, quite wisely. They've played into a weakness.
What situation?
The situation of media being under attack. And
you see that? The situation of media being under attack. Who's attacking the media? It's just people are tired of the liberal media, the mainstream media lying to us. We're tired of it. We're sick of it. And why is it that they don't understand it? They don't get it. They don't get it.
So they've created a situation where...
You've almost got it. Keep going. What the right wing is taking advantage of is finally the American people saying enough is enough. They're tired of feeling like the mass media screens out one viewpoint versus another in political coverage. They're tired of media institutions favoring one party over another. They're tired of narratives over factual stories. If I had any advice for 60 Minutes or anybody else, it would be just cover the news and try to be fair about it and stop putting your finger on the scale, especially during campaigns.
You're talking about the old mass media myth that you could have this thing that was in the middle. The Walter Cronkite saying, that's the way it is, when it wasn't for many Americans the way it was. When people were pissed off.
But people back in those days trusted the media, did they not?
No, they just couldn't be heard. Because there was no two-way. Now we have the internet.
Look at the Gallup polling. It was here, and now it's here. It's fallen off of a cliff.
Yeah, we do have that Gallup polling about trust in media, and now, as in recent years, and let's be honest, Scott, a lot of this is driven by the rhetoric on your side of the aisle. I mean, it's not.
You think it's driven by the rhetoric and not the performance?
Absolutely.
I mean, the rhetoric by your side. Let's be honest. Just the rhetoric on your side. What is the rhetoric coming from the right? That we don't want you lying to us? I mean, see, these people, they feel entitled. They feel that they're above everybody else. They believe that they know what's best for all of us. And if they have to come out and lie to us, they believe that it's justified by lying to us because they need to get a certain agenda pushed across. They don't have any issues with it. It's just the American, and it is performance. Listen.
Absolutely.
But my point is this. If you're CBS or any other news outlet, the reason that you have lost trust ought to be obvious to you, and the way to fix it also ought to be obvious to you, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump and everything to do with the product. Just try to make a better product that appeals to more people. And the way you appeal to more people is by not crapping on half or more than half of the country because of their values and political viewpoints.
I think that is
what you'd end up with in that press room then is, and these are my words, the freak show that Trump wants. Trump tries to devalue media. Why should we value his freak show there? Let's leave it to the freaks.
I think calling them freaks.
I don't think there's any disagreement on that, by the way.
I mean, he called these new media sources the freak show. They're not freaks. They have audiences.
Some of them are.
They have audiences, and there's a reason that they're thriving is because people are starved for information that they think they can trust. They're not freaks. They're filling a need in this country, in my opinion.
That's exactly what it is. People have lost trust. You know what? I remember when I was a kid, and let me know if you had the same viewpoint about this, Shannon. When I was a kid, and I would turn on, I wouldn't turn it on, but my parents, they'd be watching the news, specifically my dad. He's sitting there watching the news. And I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, they're telling the news. They have to tell the truth. They're telling the news, so whatever they're saying on the news, it must be true. Because, hey, the news is saying it. It's on television. I used to think that when I was a kid, when I was younger.
Yeah, there used to be integrity in
it. Used to be integrity.
Sure.
And a lot of it was that when they would report the news, they would just report on what took place.
It wasn't a bias.
So and so, yeah, there was an earthquake that happened in California at 2 p.m. April the 24th, 2 p.m. California time, April the 24th. And it was hit 6.7 on the earthquake meter, not including all of this other crap on why they believe the earthquake happened.
It was Trump's fault.
It was Trump's fault, right? It was Trump's fault because he didn't listen to Gavin Newsom. He didn't listen to him, right? Without adding all of that, just report on it and talk about what was damaged. If anything was damaged to people, the ambulance and people that might have been hurt, how can we help and give assistance? Just do that. But no, they've gotten to the point to where they have to go and interject all of this other nonsense because of their feelings.
I mean, if we want to be honest, the only reason why.
Let's be honest.
Social media, news, and journalists like us have become popular is because we feel the need that wasn't happening out there. They lost trust because they had low integrity. They started inserting personal opinions. They stopped actually investigating and reporting the news. Hence, we have things like Russia. Yep. We have the laptop lies. We have all these things that happen. And guess what? It's your own fault that you didn't report the truth, that you did not investigate, and now all of a sudden people don't trust you. I don't feel sorry for you. You did it yourself. You cannot come out here and tell me that this is my fault, that I'm filling a vacuum that you ruined. You became a black hole. Nobody trusts you. Nobody wants to even go on your platforms anymore because of the way you guys are. You guys have become talk shows instead of news shows. And unfortunately, because they have so many people that they have to get approval for in these news stations, podcasters and people on social media can get the news faster to these people than they can report it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I'll read an article that we talked about 2 days before.
Yeah.
Because it has to go through this whole approval system.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. There's been some cases where we talk about something and then the next week they start talking about it. The following week. Let me give you another example. The same thing with this guy, this MS-13 guy that they deported to El Salvador. The Democrats are now saying that he was kidnapped and illegally deported out of the United States of America. This is remarkable, actually, that they would say this. Listen to Judge Janine.
Most of it is not real. It's like the Whitman hoax. It's like the Russia collusion hoax. It's like BLM. We have to raise money so we can give it to kids in inner city when it was for a pyramid and for people to buy homes. None of this is real. Here's the bottom line. The Alien Enemies Act is still in effect. What the Supreme Court has said is that Mahmoud Khalil was not Mahmoud, Rayo Garcia in El Salvador was found to be a proper target of deportation. The only issue was the withholding order. The withholding order, again, I will repeat myself, is only because as a member of MS-13, he had enemies in El Salvador who want to kill him, and therefore there was a whole order to not send him there because as a gang member, he'd be killed by the other gang members. That's the only issue with Abrego Garcia. Let's talk about people who are being swept off the street, whether it is the Mahmoud Khalil or Rameza Ozurk. These people do not have a right to be here, okay? And if they had been honest in the first place, they would never have gotten a visa. If they said we were going to come here because we hate you, we hate the Jews, we're pro-Hamas, we're pro-foreign terrorist organizations, they would never be allowed in. Okay, so what we have right now are these people in Louisiana in a holding center, which is where they have a right to be, habeas corpus. The Democrats are going to visit them down south, going to El Salvador down south. They never went down south to make sure the border was secure. And now they want to go into the prisons to make sure that these people who don't have a right to be here get the right medication. When's the last time they were in a prison taking care of American prisoners, black prisoners, poor prisoners? I'm done with this.
Well, I'm not going. They don't. They don't. When it comes to American citizens, they reject us every step of the way. Every step of the way. Now, we're going to probably end up running out of time. I want to share this one with you. Have you seen this one, Shannon? Have you seen this? Oh, my goodness.
This is a real man with a family. He matters. You know, Mr. Garcia matters as an individual, as a human being. But what's more is that this larger issue of denial and trying to distort the truth. The truth is there was no due process in this case. The truth is the Trump administration has no evidence that this person is a criminal.
This dude, see, this is what they're doing. They're regurgitating the same lie every single day. And what is it? When you keep repeating the lie, you keep repeating it until it becomes truth. This is what he's doing. They've already shown the documentation. They've released the documentation that he was MS-13. The two judges, well, you just heard Judge Janine said the reason why they didn't deport him because of a rival gang. He's in the gang. They've already demonstrated. So the people that watch this nonsense, they don't know any better. So they hear him and they're like, oh, yeah, he was innocent. He did nothing wrong. But again, the Marxist left, they will repeat stuff over and over and over again until they can get the simple-minded people that listen to this crap to believe it.
That he's involved in any gang activity. They continue to double down because what they are trying to do is distort the truth over and over. You know, their philosophy is you tell a lie over and over and over again until it becomes true.
Who's telling the lie here? Who's telling the lie here? Who's telling the lie? They've already shown it. He's had due process in 2019. Who's telling the lie here? This is rich. Where they find this dude?
That is right out of an autocratic playbook. That is what makes this so dangerous. So Mr. Abrego Garcia matters a lot, and we should try to get him back, do everything possible. But we also need to be focused on the fact that this administration is trying to lie and bend the truth so people lose sight of what reality actually is.
So, I mean, look.
Oh, my goodness. Right? Right?
And this is why podcasters have become more popular than the news.
I mean, right?
Because we know the guy. Okay, listen. You can't say there's nothing that he's done wrong. First of all, he's here illegally.
And then what about being the wife beater?
To be an MS-13. Now, I was going to say that.
Then the wife beater.
And, yes.
But he didn't do nothing wrong. He's innocent. He's an outstanding citizen. This is the type of people that we want in our country, Shannon. Wow. Are they for real? And that guy, he's from Colorado. He's a Democrat from Colorado, which explains a lot. Well, listen to your boy Tim Walz talk about this, Shannon.
Now, in this land of the free and home of the brave, we have university students being swept up, shoved into unmarked vans, and fathers being tossed into Salvadorian gulags without a hint of due process.
Oh my goodness! I mean, how do you do this live with a straight face? The students that are here that they're picking up, and they're not even picking them up in unmarked vans. Really? I want to see this. I want to see the van. I want to see them get picked up. Yeah, they're ICE vans.
Okay.
Why are they picking them up
in an unmarked car when you're running around trying to run for VP?
Why are they picking them up? Are they just randomly picking up students? Are they picking up ones that have been terrorizing other people?
Terrorizing. They were he
conveniently
should say
leaving out
the
the
people
detail.
that were terrorizing Americans are being picked up by ICE and deported. Oh my goodness, that's so bad.
Yeah. Well, listen. You hear about it, he get them all worked up with the lies.
So I want to be real clear about this. If you say you love freedom, but you don't believe freedom is for everybody, then the thing you love isn't freedom, it's privilege.
And a standing ovation for that.
Meaning
that people come into the country illegally, they need to have the freedom to do whatever it is that they want to do too, even though they've broken federal law. This is amazing coming from the Democrat Party.
And let me just agree with him on one thing. It is a privilege to be here in America. It is a privilege to have a visa and a green card. And you will be afforded the freedom to be here, but you don't have the freedom to terrorize. You don't have the freedom to come here and beat up people. You don't have the freedom to rob, steal, and get away with it.
You don't have the freedom to terrorize Jewish students because they're going to class. It had nothing to do with what happened on October 7th. And it was Jewish people that it happened to. But you have people here in America terrorizing Jewish students. And because they were doing that and they're here on a visa, not even American citizens, even American citizens shouldn't be doing it. They violated their visa rights. You got to go. You got to go. You mean to tell me that they didn't understand that part of the application when they were filling it out? Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Is that what we're supposed to believe? No, I don't think so. This needs to come to an end. And look, once again, President Trump is wanting to remove the criminal element out of the country. The Democrats are fighting for the criminal element. That's exactly what it is. Anything positive President Trump is pushing for, the Democrats are against it. And they're lying. I mean, blatantly lying. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
And let me just tell you something. Unfortunately, these people all do get paid.
Do
what they're doing.
Oh yeah,
We're not
paid
activists.
activists.
We don't have sponsors.
No,
on this. We don't have anything.
I don't have sponsors. All I have is you
and the grace of God.
And the grace of God. If you hit the thumbs up for me, that will help. And I didn't even say the entire show today. Please hit the thumbs up.
Yeah.
I mean, please, I'm like begging you, hit the thumbs up, because when you hit that thumbs up, it causes more people to tune in.
Yeah.
And it absolutely helps. It really helps me. Just by the simple thing you can do is hit the thumbs up.
So 2 things, if it's on your heart, please support us. Like Will says, you can support us monthly. You can support us one time, or you could mail us something and support us.
And I keep every letter that I've ever received. So right there on my website, uniteamericafirst.com/donate, you can support me. There are people supporting me, but I still need your help, right? Because I don't ever ask anyone you have to do a certain amount. Anything that you bless me with is a blessing.
Yeah.
Even if it's a one-time thing. And
also,
and this is really important before we get out of here.
Go ahead.
Look at this. This is on the front page of uniteamericafirst.com, everybody.
Yeah, we need you guys to start calling
our representatives
and demand action.
Get them to get on their job, to JOB. And you know what, Shannon? There's more people talking about this. There's more people talking about this.
Yes, because
I saw someone, who was it? I forget who it was. It's on the tip of my tongue. Somebody else was talking about this too, because it's been about to be 100 days. And the Republicans that are in the House and the Senate, they're like on vacation. They're like, well, we get to relax. This is so disgusting for me to see. They should be going full steam ahead. If the Democrats are not complaining about you, you're not doing your job.
Yep. So there's a directory for the House of Representatives. You could also call the Capitol switchboard. I put a phone script there for you if you don't know quite what to say.
Yeah.
Or you could also turn that script into an email. But let's get them working on some legislation to support Trump's America First agenda.
So if nothing else, hit the thumbs up and share this video for this information alone. You know what? Tomorrow, which is Friday, I'm going to open up the phone lines for anyone who wants to give me a call. We're going to talk about this in the very beginning, because this is so important. We've got to get these Republicans to get off their tails and start passing bills, making law. President Trump does an executive order, it needs to become a bill. Executive order, turn into a bill. So it can end up on President Trump's desk, and so he can sign it into law. And then the Democrats can't come along and change it. They can't just come right along and do an executive order to change it. Can't do it. All right, everybody, that is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. Don't forget, tomorrow's Friday, live right here where you're watching, and we'll be taking your phone calls tomorrow. God bless everyone. See you later. Oh, before I go, if you want to see me, if you want to see some of the other information I want to share with you, just under an hour from right now, right here on my website, click on Culture Wars. It's the second one right there. It's the second one, right? It's the second one on me? Yeah. No, it's the second one from the left, the other side, the second one. Okay, not where my finger is. Third one from my finger. Culture Wars. Just go there, click on Culture Wars, set a mobile alert on your phone. I got some other stuff that I want to share with you. Wow. God bless. See you in an hour.